Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi. Ada berapa orang dah ni? Baru 10 orang. Sempat tak baca nota tadi 2.2 dan juga 2.3? Lupa nak pakai headset. Okay, hai. Hai. Hai semua, selamat pagi.
Hai Madam, selamat pagi.
Okey. Dah sarapan ke belum ni?
Belum.
Dah ada yang belum. Ada yang masih atas katil lagi apa? Okey, sempat tak tadi baca untuk 2.2 dan 2.3? Dah tengok-tengok ke belum? Dah, okey, baiklah. So, kita akan start kita punya discussion hari ni. Chapter 2, subtopic 2.2 and 2.3. So, for 2.2 is network architecture. Oh, dia tak nak highlight pakai mouse. Okay, for 2.2 network architecture, learning outcome for this topic, first, explain types of network architecture, which is we have two types, peer-to-peer and client-server. Then, second learning outcome is students should be able to illustrate types of network architecture, which is peer-to-peer or client-server based on given scenario. Okay, so we have two learning outcome for this subtopic. Okay, first of all, what is network architecture? So, bila kita look at terms architecture. So, architecture apa kerja dia? Dia buat apa arkitek? Arkitek dia buat apa? Lukis kan? So, arkitek dia draw. Okay, so sama juga dekat dalam kita punya network architecture ni, kita akan draw, which is our second learning outcome. Kita illustrate, means kita akan draw types of network architecture, either peer-to-peer or client-server based on given scenario. So, bila you tengok terms network architecture, kena ingat kita ada two types, iaitu peer-to-peer and client server. And then kita kena both network architecture kita kena draw ataupun kita kata illustrate. Okay. Hai yang baru masuk. Okay. Oh, Satna, saya nak stop sharing yang ni. Saya nak share Google Meet. Chrome tab ke? Window. Mana Google Meet saya? Okay, ni kot. Okay. Saya tak keluar dekat skrin saya. Tak keluar. Okay, saya stop sharing yang ni lagi sekali. Okay. Alright, so network architecture is configuration of computers devices, and media on network. Okay, there is network architecture. Macam mana kita nak arrange, macam mana kita nak configure computers, devices. Devices ni refer maybe others devices such as printer, scanner, okay, and media on network. Okay, next, this is the important part for this subtopic, which is two types of network architecture. We have peer-to-peer and client server. Okay, when you refer to this picture, what is the major difference between these two types of network architecture? What is the difference? What is the major difference between these two types of peer-to-peer and network architecture? Yes, good. Okay, peer-to-peer dia tak ada server, and client server dia ada server. That is the major difference between peer-to-peer and client server. Ada server and without server. Okay, with server, without server. Okay, that is the difference. So when you look at the diagram, the picture, the figure, if you can see there is a server, so the network architecture for that diagram is client server. If no server, so the diagram is peer to peer. Okay, so as we can see in the slide, for peer to peer, the first network architecture, okay, this is our first network architecture, all computers call as a peer. Okay, all computer call as a peer, and each computer, okay, each computer have equal capabilities and responsibilities for sharing resources. So each computer dia akan connect to each other for sharing resources on network. Okay, all computers. Peer refer to the computers, laptop, workstation, and nodes. Okay, so peer refer to the computer, laptop. Apa saya tulis ni? Apa saya tulis tadi? Workstation. Okay, workstation and node. N-O-D-E. Okay, so this is a general diagram for peer-to-peer. In our learning outcome, you have to draw network architecture for peer-to-peer and client server based on the given scenario. Okay, so you have to answer based on the scenario. This is the general how we illustrate peer-to-peer network architecture. Okay. Okay, now look at to client server. Okay, for client server, we have one server. Okay, actually, for client server, one or more computer act as a server. Maybe one server, maybe two or more. Okay, so in this diagram, we just put one server. So how to describe client server? One computer act as a server, one or more. Okay, or more. Act as a servers, and others computer act as a client. Okay, so server is centralized and client will request services from the server. All the client request services from the server, and all the client connect to the server. Okay, so client also refer to the computer, laptop, okay, computer, laptop, or other devices. Okay, but normally computer, laptop, or workstation. Yes, workstation. Okay, so kalau dalam exam you nampak terms workstation and dia adalah refer to the network architecture client server, means that that workstation refer to client and have only one server. Okay, clear the difference between these two types of network architecture? Okay. Alright, next. Okay. Types of network architecture. Okay, how to explain? Actually, just now I already explained for peer-to-peer and client server. Okay, when refer to the diagram, we actually already can make an explanation based on the diagram. Okay, we start with peer-to-peer first. Each computer or mobile device called a peer have equal responsibilities and capabilities in sharing hardware, data, or information. That is peer-to-peer. Okay, refer to the diagram. Each computer refer to the atau called as a peer. Each computer have equal capabilities and responsibilities to share hardware, data, and information. Okay, for client server, one or more computer act as a server. Okay, and others computers on network request services from the server. Okay, based on the diagram, we also can describe what is client server. Okay, which is one computer, one or more, but in this diagram only have one server. So one computer act as a server and others computer act as a client, and client request services from the server. Okay. For peer-to-peer, it's suitable for small network which is connect fewer than 10 computers. So if the scenario refer to the situation for small network, small business which is fewer than 10 computers, so the most suitable network architecture for that scenario is peer-to-peer. Okay. For client server, client, what is client? Client others computers and mobile device on the network that rely on the server for its resources. Okay, means clients is request services from the server, and server will control access to the hardware, and server provide centralized storage. Okay, so for server we have 2 point, control access, second point centralized storage, and 1 point ada lagi satu. Okay, that is the difference for next slide. Okay. Alright. Apa tadi nak cakap macam lupa dah pula. Okay, tak apa. Kalau ingat saya sambung balik Okay, kita proceed lagi. So there is a general how to explain. Okay, this is how to explain peer-to-peer and client server. But actually, when we go to the difference, okay, as we can see for the first point, actually is the explanation of peer-to-peer and client server. Okay, so when the question asks you to explain, so the answer is here. Okay, but when the question asks you to make a difference between peer-to-peer and client server, the answer okay, ini juga jawapan dia still same. Okay, so it's not quite difficult to remember all the points because different question but same answer. Explanation, define, explain, describe. Okay, this is the answer. For difference, also this is the answer for the first point. Okay, and remember, for different and describe, make sure you describe based on first point. This is the main point to answer this question. Make sure your first answer is the first point here. Okay, make sure. And then you can follow by others point. Okay, so the different, make sure when you compare the different, make it the same point. For example, when you talk about each computer or mobile device call a peer, and for the other side, for client server, you also mention about the computer. When peer-to-peer, you mention about centralized. So the other side for client server, make sure you also compare about centralized control. Dia mesti pairing yang sama. Okay. And for this one, kalau you mention about installation and configure, so make sure the other side for client server, you also mention about the network, how to manage and maintain the network. Means the points is related to each other. So that's why we call the different. Make sure the same point you want to compare. If the point you mention about difficult, so the other side about data backup, so the other side also mention about data backup. Okay, mesti same point. Okay, what happened? What happened if you not pair the point for peer-to-peer and client server? For example, for second point, for peer-to-peer, you mentioned about not centralized server. But for client server, in second point, you mentioned about network professional. Okay, you replace. So what will happen? When you compare, you make a difference between two network architecture, peer-to-peer and client server, dengan point yang berbeza, so you will lost mark for peer-to-peer and also lost mark for client server. Okay, so make sure bila you make a comparison, you compare dengan point yang sama. Okay, clear tak yang ni? Kalau tak rugi kan. Okay, next. Let's say last point kat sini you mention about data backup. Kat sini okay, you mention about data backup, betul. But the other side you tak mention about data backup, you mention about easy to install. So, berapa markah you dapat? Berapa markah you dapat? Dapat kosong markah kat situ. Okay, you akan dapat 0 mark juga di sini walaupun ianya betul. Okay, so basically for different, biasanya dalam exam dia orang akan minta 2 je. So you better you hafal first point for different and also to explain, and second point. Dah cukup dah. Okay, normally 2 point saja yang dia akan minta. Okay, kita proceed lagi yang seterusnya. Advantage and disadvantage for peer-to-peer and client server. Okay, kalau refer to our learning outcome, there is no advantage and disadvantage for this subtopic. And normally, untuk soalan PSPM, mesti berdasarkan kepada our learning outcome. Okay, but we have to prepare. Maybe ada juga soalan yang tiba-tiba keluar, contoh advantage disadvantage. Okay, actually kalau kita tengok dekat dalam point yang asal tadi, the difference tadi, kita boleh nampak dah apa dia punya advantage and disadvantage. Okay, for example, the first point, easy and inexpensive to set up the network. Kenapa easy and expensive? Inexpensive because dia less or fewer of computers, dia tak ada server. Okay, so dia lagi easy and inexpensive to set up. Okay, bila mention pasal ni baru saya ingat apa yang saya dah lost tadi. Okay, refer back to this diagram. Okay, if one peer failure, it will not affect others peer. Okay, when one peer failure, it will not affect others peer. And for client server, if one client failure, it also will not affect others peer. But when server failure, what happened to others client when server failure? Also also what? cannot work. Okay, when server, what happened to the server? Failure. Okay, when server failure, so it will cannot work for others client. Okay. And kalau kita compare server, dia costing. Okay. So yang ni easy to set up, inexpensive, difficult to set up, and expensive. Okay. So advantage and disadvantage, actually you can use your own words, okay, without remember all this point. Okay, easy and inexpensive to set up the network. Okay, for advantage and disadvantage, you no need to pairing. No need to pairing. For example, easy, so the other side difficult. Inexpensive, the other side expensive. No. For client server, we no need to differentiate with same point. Okay, you can write any advantages or disadvantages for peer-to-peer and client server without pairing their advantage. Okay, for difference only you have to pair. Okay, so for peer-to-peer, more reliable because failure of one peer will not affect other peer. Okay, so client server, as we discussed just now, is centralized by the server. Centralized control by the server. So bila ada control, bila ada centralized, so it's more better security. More lagi, better lagi, it's better security. Okay, and for data backup, easier to data backup. Okay, third point for peer-to-peer, actually ada dalam dia punya definition tadi. All peer have equal capabilities and responsibilities to share resources. Share their resources. Okay, itu advantage and disadvantage. Okay, itu dia punya advantage. For disadvantage, disadvantage ni rasa kelakar sikit. Kalau you tengok balik point dia, sama je. Point dia sama je. Okay, contoh Contoh, saya padam balik yang ni. Macam mana nak ingat kita punya disadvantage? Actually tak perlu ingat, perlu. Okay. Advantage for peer-to-peer, dia akan menjadi disadvantage for client server. Disadvantage. Contoh, kalau peer-to-peer easy and inexpensive, so client server dia akan jadi difficult and expensive to set up network. Okay, dan advantage for client server, dia akan menjadi disadvantage for peer-to-peer. Itu je punya point. Boleh tak, nak faham tak apa yang saya maksudkan? Dia switch macam tu. So advantage peer-to-peer, dia akan jadi disadvantage for client server. Okay, kita tengok dekat sini kalau tak percaya. Okay, so peer-to-peer, dia punya disadvantage, nampak tak sini? Lack of security control. Sebab apa? Sebab dia punya advantage dekat client server tadi, dia centralized, control by the server. Jadi disadvantage dia, the lack of security control. Yang ni kan tadi. Ni. Control, so dia better security. Okay. Then, data recovery, backup is difficult. Sebab apa? Sebab client server tadi, dia data recovery dia better kan compared to peer-to-peer. Okay, kita tengok pula disadvantage untuk client server. Nampak tak kat sini? High cost. Dia disadvantage, tetapi dia akan jadi advantage untuk peer-to-peer. Untuk first point. Jadi you tak perlu nak hafal dua-dua. You hafal satu je and then you twist saja. Okay, senang kan cakap. Twist je. You all yang nak menjawab tu yang struggle. Okay. Dan seterusnya, less reliable. Nampak tak tadi dekat peer-to-peer apa? Dia more reliable. Okay. Dan yang seterusnya yang inilah network congestion, request services from the server at the same time. Okay. Boleh tak sampai sini? Ada apa-apa soalan? Kalau ada boleh juga letak dekat chat. Actually kita punya session for this morning saya dah record dekat live dah. Sebabnya bila meet kan saya kena upload balik. So saya dah live terus dah. Kalau tengok dekat YouTube pun dah ada dah. Ada apa-apa soalan tak dekat sini? Boleh letak dekat chat Hari ni ada 2 orang yang pergi vaksin. Boleh madam, faham. Okey, kenapa dekat Okey, sana. Okay, thank you Putri Aisyah. Yang lain macam mana? Okay tak? Kita akan proceed yang seterusnya ni. Intan, okay madam. Okay. Harus kau pelajari, aku ingin kemesraan, serta senyum keramahan. Okay, faham ini Syahira. Bagus. Okay, sekejap lagi saya akan bagi quiz. Quiz. Okay, so kena faham betul-betul ni. Okay, so kita sudah berehat seketika. Wah, tiba. Okay, so kita akan tengok dekat sini. Inilah soalan. Soalan, inilah soalannya. Okay, so kita tengok dekat sini ya. Untuk network architecture punya PSPN. Okay, this is question PSPN 2019-2020. Illustrate. Okay, so 6 mark. Susah sebenarnya nak lukis ni. Okay. So, okay, sebelum tu baru teringat, tengok soalan baru I ingat. Luqmanul Hakim, boleh faham medium? Okay, thank you. Belajar senang je nak faham kan, cuma bila exam tu, bila test, time tu lah tiba-tiba tak faham pula. Okay. Okay, so untuk drawing, kita tak semestinya lukis exactly sama macam komputer. Okay, so kalau kita nak draw pier, kita boleh draw saya draw dekat tepi sikit. Okay, kita boleh draw untuk peer to peer, client server. Okay, untuk draw kita buat je bentuk rectangle ke bentuk box tak kisah, but make sure kena label. Contoh peer. Okay, ataupun kita boleh label dekat luar pun tak apa, nak label dengan komputer. Ataupun nak label dengan laptop, tak kisah. Okay, nak label dekat dalam. Ataupun nak label dengan workstation. Okay, so tak perlu draw beria-ria, kita buat box je pun dah cukup dah untuk peer-to-peer dan juga client server. Contoh, server ni tak semestinya dia berada dekat tengah. Okay, doesn't mean dia berada dekat tengah. Okay, kita boleh letak server tu di mana-mana. For example, saya nak buat server dekat sini. Nak buat macam solat berjemaah kan. So kat sini server. Mana dia punya makmum dia? Makmum dia duduk dekat belakang. Boleh juga. So ini kita punya makmum kita. Client. Okay, boleh juga as long as all the client connect to the server. Okay, tak perlu lukis beria-ria. Tapi kalau nak lukis juga, madam saya nak juga lukis ni gambar komputer, boleh, is up to you, boleh. Okay, tak kisah. Paling minimum buat box. Okay. Kalau you hanya sekadar menulis perkataan, contoh you just tulis dekat sini laptop. Lepas tu kat sini pun laptop. Laptop 1, laptop 2, laptop 3. You tak buat box, you buat connection macam ni. Ni nanti kita tak terima. Okay, at least awak buat box. So kita tahulah benda ni device. Okay, so barulah boleh dapat markah. Okay. Mesti ada bentuk, shape dan juga label. Okay. So, soalan yang pertama, 6 mark. So 3 marks for home peer-to-peer and 3 mark for internet peer-to-peer. So kat sini dia nak hanya peer-to-peer network. So bila soalan tu mention peer-to-peer, make sure you tak lukis server. Ingat bila peer-to-peer, server tak ada. Jangan sekali-kali timbul server. Ada je server terus hilang markah. Contohlah you terbuat server dekat sini. S. Terbuat server dekat sini, S. Terus kosong markah. Okay, pastikan bila peer-to-peer no server. Itu dulu kita akan check. Okay, apa beza wanginya? Apa beza peer-to-peer dengan client server? Sorry, saya pula cakap tak betul. Okay, apa beza home peer-to-peer dan juga internet peer-to-peer? Okay, so untuk home peer-to-peer, kita boleh letak sama ada you nak letak laptop, okay, you nak letak komputer, it's okay, it's up to you. Okay, kita dah buat satu laptop je, at least buatlah 2 ataupun 3. Okay, and then connect to the router. Okay, connect to the router. And we also can connect either through wired or wireless. Madam, kalau nak buat wired semua boleh tak? Boleh, buat wired semua. Madam, saya tak suka wired, saya nak buat wireless semua. Buat wireless semua. Suka hati koma lah. Okay, as long as dia connect pada router either wired or wireless. Clear for home peer-to-peer? 3 mark. Okay, and internet peer-to-peer. Okay, for internet peer-to-peer, connect to the internet, boleh juga secara wireless. Okay, example, there is an example for home peer-to-peer. Okay, limited sharing network, for example, sharing network printer, at home network, school network. Okay, for internet peer-to-peer, such as download movie. Okay, okay, that is the difference between home peer-to-peer and internet peer-to-peer. Okay, let's proceed. Next apa ni? Okay, next PSPM 2018-2019. Also 6 mark. Okay, that is relate to our learning outcome. Learning outcome, second learning outcome is to illustrate network architecture based on given scenario. So that is the scenario which is consists of 4 workstation, 1 printer and 1 scanner. Okay, so how to draw? As we discussed just now, for peer-to-peer no hub or switch, but we already learned the function of hub, switch and router in the previous subtopic 2.1, right? So you also can apply in the question. Okay, even though kita dah discuss tadi peer-to-peer, dia tak ada mention pun hub atau switch. Okay, so you can draw either you add on hub, switch or router, or without hub, switch and router. Okay, so for workstation, mana saya punya pen? Okay, workstation 1, workstation 2, make sure you have 4 workstation. Workstation 3, workstation 4. Okay, so ada 4 workstation. And kita boleh letak hub, switch and router. What the difference? Bila ada switch and without switch. What's the difference? Bila ada switch and without switch, apa sebenarnya perbezaan? Jika tak ada switch, macam mana rupa gambar dia? Without switch. Hello. Kalau without switch, how to draw? Okay, saya bagi kelas sikit lah, suruh korang draw boleh? Okay, saya bagi kelas sikit Okay. So boleh draw dekat situ. Jika tanpa hub and switch, macam mana rupa dia punya drawing? Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dah full ke saya punya ni? Ini boleh delete dah. Okay. Apa tadi? draw. Meja draw pun tak betul. Okay, draw. Saya assign dulu. Assign roster F3T12. Okay. Copy link. Saya akan paste dekat Google Meet. So minta korang untuk draw bersama-sama dengan saya. Okay, dekat Google Meet Okay, sila masuk kelas Kik sekarang. Dan cuba draw for this question. Mana question tadi? This one. Without hug and swish. 6 mark. Okay, cuba draw. Saya bagi masa. Ataupun you ada idea lain untuk draw. Ada hub and switch tapi you rasa macam scanner and printer ni tak boleh duduk dekat sini. You rasa dia sepatutnya berada di tempat lain. Okay. Cuba draw for this question. And okay, ni general. Okay, yang ni dulu kita start Okay, without hub and switch. Okay, kita nampak Adam dah nak draw dah. Adam selalu laju. Okay. Adam, maybe you ambil pensel lagi cepat kot Adam. Ataupun you boleh draw dekat kertas. Okay, Adam tengah draw. Ataupun yang lain boleh draw dekat kertas and then you snap, upload dekat sini. Okay, kita tunggu Adam untuk draw. Okay, sambil tu kita berhibur. Sedap pula lagu ni. Dia dah trending dekat YouTube. Okay. Betul Adam. Connect each other. Betul. Laju juga Adam lukis ni. You ada pensel ke? Kita tengok kawan. Oh, Arisa pun sedang. Oh. Arisa ni macam mata ni. Okay, workstation 4. Okay. Siapa lagi sedang melukis? Faik. Okay, Faik dah masuk dah. Tan pun sedang lukis. Kemesraan serta senyum keramahan. Betul. Kekal berterusan memang di tengah jalan. Tahu rasakan kediaman memutih hati. Okay, untuk workstation 1, workstation 2 Arisa, kita buat single line je. Buat single line ni padam satu kot Arisa. Laut pun setebal mana selimut membaluti. Aku masih kedinginan. Okay, Syahira. Okay, Syahira tengah berusaha. Masih lagi panjang. Okay. Adam dah siap dah lukis. Pandai. Okay. Kita tengok Adam punya. Adam dia nak asing-asing. Satu printer, satu scanner. Okay. This one is without hub and switch. Okay. So. Okay. Workstation 1, workstation 2, workstation 3, workstation 4. Connect each others. Betul. And then ada printer and scanner. Betul. Okay, so dalam exam untuk workstation 1 and 2, 3 and 4, macam buat senam robik pula, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So kita akan buat full kena tulis full workstation 1, 2, workstation 3 and workstation 4. Very good, pandai. Okay, mana nak bagi stiker ni? Good. Okay, pandai, bagus. Okay. Kita tengok pula untuk Arisa. Arisa. Arisa ada workstation 1, 2, 3, 4. Betul sayang, pandai. Okay, very good. Betul. Okey, dalam exam nanti kita akan tulis full workstation 1, 2, 3 and 4. Ada scanner. Ni je kurang sikit Arisa. Macam ni sekejap hilang markah. Ni hilang markah ni. Kenapa hilang markah tu sayang? Macam ni nak betul kan? Yang ni hilang markah. Betul sayang, kena buat kotak. Mesti kena buat kotak. So macam itu bentuk dia lah. Okey, tambah kotak. Okey. Alright. Okey, Intan. Malam tak berteman, sabiha siang kekosongan. Tulusan hati ini. Okey, Syahira. Belum lagi. Tan. Okey, Tan. Oh, perfect Tan. Very good. Okey, bagus. Ada workstation 1 full ayat dia, workstation 2, workstation 3, workstation 4, ada scanner and printer. Very good, betul. Okay, so simple je lukisan dia. Okay, dapat markah penuh. Okay. Sekejap Okay. Kita tengok lagi. Okey, rasanya dah cukup kot setakat ini. Masih ramai yang mencuba. Thank you so much. Intan pun sedang mencuba. Thank you. Okey, yang lain yang belum start is okay. Tak apa sebab lepas ni ada lagi soalan. Okey, saya check untuk Syahira. Okey, Syahira tengah siapkan. Tu workstation 1, workstation 3, 2, 4. Nanti kita tulis full dalam exam. Ada printer and scanner. Bagus. Betul. Okay, very good. Okay, next. Wafi. Okay, Wafi sedang berusaha. Nampak betul dah tu? Okay, yang lain tak apa, kita stop dulu yang ini. Saya akan tunggu Intan dan juga Wafi sahaja. Okay, lagi 2 orang. Dan kita akan proceed untuk yang seterusnya. Okay. Kita tunggu Intan dan Wafi. Okay, okay, yang seterusnya. Yang seterusnya. Siapa nak lukis soalan yang sama, diagram yang sama, yang ini ada hub and switch, tetapi kita tak nak letak scanner dekat workstation 1, printer dekat workstation 1. Boleh tak kita terus letak dekat hub dan juga switch? Boleh tak? You rasa? Ini kita terus letak sini. Terus letak sini. Boleh ke tidak? Okay. Sementara tu kita tunggu Wafi dan juga Intan. Okay. Yang lain boleh tengok next question. Ada drawing lagi for next question. Okay. Ya. Yeah.
Saya nak tanya untuk yang soalan ni. Printer dengan scanner tu boleh letak kat mana-mana workstation ke?
Betul, boleh berada di mana-mana workstation. Tak ada masalah. Okay. Ya.
Lepas tu yang scanner tu boleh berkongsi satu workstation tu.
Boleh. Nak letak asing pun boleh. Ini yang ada dekat skrin ini adalah skema. Yang ada dekat skrin ni skema jawapan. Skema jawapan PSPM yang sebenar. Okay, tetapi selain daripada jawapan yang ini, kita boleh juga lukis macam mana yang you all lukis tadi. So di sini yang saya nak masukkan. Okay, Farisha, Arisa tambah sayang, tambah box sayang. Okay. Yang ini saya nak masukkan bahawa untuk peer to peer kita boleh lukis with hub and without hub. Ini dengan hub. Okay, and boleh lukis without hub. Contoh macam Adam lukis. And untuk printer and scanner tak semestinya berada pada satu workstation yang sama. Okay. Ini kita assume printer ni printer yang tak ada scanner. Scanner ni yang scanner stand alone tu. Tapi kalau printer scanner yang 3-in-1 tu dia sekali lah. Okay. Boleh tak? Dan dia tak semestinya berada workstation 1. Dia boleh berada pada workstation 3 ataupun workstation 4. Okay. Boleh? Ada soalan lagi? Okay, Intan dah siap ke ni sayang? Okay dah Printer, scanner, betul. Okay, workstation 1, workstation 2, betul. Okay, dia letak secara berasingan. Okay, betul. Okay, bagus. Wafi lagi seorang tadi kan? Wafi, mana Wafi? Ni Wafi pun dah siap dah. Wafi dia letak pada workstation 3, workstation 4 pun boleh juga. Okay, tak ada masalah. Boleh berada di mana. Selesai. Kita teruskan lagi ya. Okay, next. Peer-to-peer 2016-2017. Okay, macam diagram yang ini, dia very straightforward. Dia tak ada bagi senario, dia tak ada bagi situation, dia terus minta kita peer-to-peer and client server. So, kita just draw sahajalah macam mana dalam nota. Okay, but tak semestinya you draw exactly dia punya gambar macam ni buat box saja pun dah cukup. But make sure label. Okay, lagi satu lupa nak cakap tadi. Yang arrow ni dia ada dua lah arrow sebab dia sharing resources each others kan. Kena letak arrow Untuk peer-to-peer letak arrow. Okay. Next. Ni draw client server. Very straightforward. Saya terpotong pula. Very straightforward. Kita just draw macam biasa untuk dapatkan 4 markah. Okay. Sekarang saya nak minta you all draw yang ni network architecture for peer-to-peer with hub. Jika ada hub macam mana nak letak? Okay, boleh tak you all draw for this question with hub ataupun switch? Okay, boleh draw sekarang dekat dalam Classcade pada second slide. Okay, second slide. Oh, Adam saya dah nampak dia dah on dia punya second slide. Okay, dekat second slide. Syahira pun sama, dah start open second slide. Tan pun sama, second slide dah on. Okay, for this question, how to draw for client server with hub. Okay. Saya nak pasang lagu. Ada satu lagu tu. Pelajar matrikulasi yang nyanyi. Sedap suara dia. Apa Okay, kita tunggu dulu. Okay, yang ni. Ni lagu Malaysia. Okay. Okay. Kita punya artinya kenikmatan tidak dirasa rasa mulia cinta wanita rasa bahagia jadi kita penuh daya. Ya, apa dia? Okay. Perlu tulis tak ni workstation dan juga nak tulis workstation ke nak tulis client? Okay. Dekat sini dia kata draw client server architecture. Kalau kita tak buat client pun boleh. Kita nak terus lukis workstation kan? Sebab macam kita discuss tadi. Okay. Nak buat general boleh, nak spesifik boleh. Sebab mana lukisan tadi Okay. Oh, saya dah padam dah. Okay, untuk client tadi, selain daripada client, kita boleh tulis juga device-device yang lain, laptop, workstation dan juga komputer. Okay, boleh nak tulis ataupun nak buat client pun boleh. Untuk soalan general, tak kisah. Boleh tulis komputer, laptop or client, tetapi kalau soalan spesifik dia minta kita buat mana tadi soalan? Kalau spesifik, macam ni, kita kena ikut soalan. Okay, kalau general boleh labelkan selain daripada klien. Okay, ada soalan lagi? Thank you tanya soalan tu. Saya pun tak terfikir yang soalan macam tu kan. Betul tu. Okay, ni dah jadi apa dah ni? Okay, kita tengok dulu. Okay, thank you. Ada soalan lain lagi boleh tanya atau boleh check juga. Lalai setelah lupa, masa akan cari sia-sia. Oish, kemasnya. Syafiq. Okay. Kalau tengok kat sini kan, ada server tu dah. Confirm dah betul. Oleh itu mari kawanku. Betul? Ada, jap. Oh, okay. Okay, ada server, betul. Ada hub switch. Semua klien connect pada hub dan juga switch. Betul sayang, pandai. Malaysia baru. Tak punya cinta, sama punya wanita, tidak punya artinya. Nikmat yang tidak dirasa. Ush, terkejut saya tiba-tiba line muncul. Tak mulia, terasa bahagia. Oh, bagus. Dan tak penuh daya. Bagus, Syafiq. Terbaik. Andai kita lalai setelah lupa, masa akan cari. Okey, Intan. Okey, Syahira, sorry. Okey, bagus, pandai sayang. Oleh itu mari kawanku, berpimpin tangan berganding bahu. Bagus. Cita yang satu. Okey. Untuk arrow ni biasanya klien server kita tak buat arrow pergi balik. Kalau buat arrow pergi balik ni dia macam apa, peer to peer kan. Kita buat arrow single je. Okey, kita buat arrow single je. Okay, klien tu semua betul dah. Arrow tu nanti betulkan. Okey, tapi rasanya boleh kot. Okey, bagus. Okey, rasa dah cukup dah. Wafi biasalah dia last kan. Kita semak dia, maksudnya kita dah stop dah untuk discussion ni klien. Setelah lupa masa akan. Bagus Wafi, good. Yang siap jiwaku. Okey, Intan masih berusaha. Dunia bukan. Okey, lagi satu, kalau drawing yang sebenar dekat dalam exam, kalau boleh jangan ada yang hanging lah. Yang hanging ni kan, okey. Kena buat full Berganding bahu. Okey, kita tinggal Intan je lagi. It's okay Intan, teruskan. Okey, saya akan proceed dulu Malaysia baru. Okey. So, kita dah selesai sampai sini, dah settle. Ini pun kita dah lukis tadi. Okey, dah selesai. Okey, sekarang kita akan masuk 2.3, classification of network. Okey. Boleh ke dah penat dah? Penat boleh minum air dulu. Okey, bismillah. Terpercik. Okey. Kita proceed 2.3, classification of network. Okay, for classification of network. Kenapa saya punya ni tak berfungsi ni? Ada pun. Okay. Learning outcome. Okay, first is explain classification of network. Then differentiate. among local area network, which is LAN, local area network, LAN, and wide area network, okay, WAN. Okay. So for first learning outcome, explain classification of network means we have to explain what is LAN and what is WAN. Then we have to differentiate between LAN and WAN based on area of coverage. Actually, we have more than one characteristic for LAN and WAN, but when you make a differentiate between these two classification of network, make sure your first point is about area of coverage. Okay. Next. Okay. So, networks can be classified as local area network, LAN, and B, wide area network, WAN. Okay, ni LAN, ini WAN. So, dekat dalam ni ada lagi two types, but saya tak pergi deep lah untuk personal area network and home area network. We just focus on LAN and WAN. Okay. Advantage and also disadvantage. Okay. So, classification of network. Okay. As I mentioned just now, classification of network. Network can be classified as local area network, which is LAN and WAN. And the main difference, okay, the main difference among this classification is their area network of coverage. Remember that first point, you must mention about area network of coverage. Okay, so for LAN, explanation. For example, question asks you to explain. Okay, the question asks you to explain what is LAN. So how to explain? This is the first point that you can explain for LAN. Explain based on area of coverage. Okay. A network that connect computers and devices in limited geographical area. Okay, that is an explanation for LAN. Okay. And you can give an example such as home network, school network. Okay. Okay. So this is the first point for explanation. What is local area network, which is a network that connect computers and devices in limited geographical areas such as home network and school network. Okay. So, another explanation for LAN is their connectivity and ownership. Okay, connectivity within same building, usually connected through wires. Ownership is controlled by single person or organization. But remember, make sure your first point, you must write based on area of coverage. Okay. Okay, next. Okay. Okay. So this one a detail about personal area network and home area network. Okay. So yang ini you boleh tengok contoh-contoh dia yang telah diberi. Saya tak akan pergi deep dekat sini. I just straightforward LAN, WAN and differentiate between LAN and WAN. Okay. This is types of LAN. Okay, either PAN or HAN. Okay. So LAN, the area of coverage is limited geographical area. Okay, refer to the diagram. The connection is just in same location. Okay, same location. Either in same building or same location, room or other place. For local area networks, dia punya coverage is very limited. Okay, either PAN or HAN. Limited geographical area in house, room or building. Okay. So advantage, easy to share devices such as printer, scanner and external device. External drive, easy to share data, cost LAN setup is low. Disadvantage of LAN, based on power and also for security. Okay, and disadvantage is the area covered is limited. Okay, and if all computers running at once, can reduce speed for each. Okay, so you just remember 2 advantage and 2 disadvantage for classification of network. But based on learning outcome, they haven't mentioned about disadvantage and disadvantage. So actually we more focused to explain what is LAN and WAN and differentiate between these 2 types of classification of network. Okay, so we proceed with WAN for wide area network. So in exam, you can write full wide area network or local area network, or you just write all capital letter LAN or WAN. Okay, diterima. Kalau huruf kecil, itu tak diterima, itu nama orang. Itu kalau LAN, itu Encik Azlan. Okay. So area of coverage, kalau soalan tu kata explain WAN, so you nak explain, mesti explain based on area of coverage, which is a network that covers large geographical area such as city and country. Okay, and example, the internet is the world largest one. So kalau example of one adalah internet. Okay. For second point, kita boleh concludekan dia secara ringkas begini. Okay, kalau LAN, tadi contoh kita ada LAN, saya buat kat sini LAN Ini LAN KMPK. Ini LAN Goping. Ini LAN RTC. Ini LAN dekat rumah saya. Rumah madam. Okay. So banyak-banyak LAN. Banyak-banyak LAN ni dia jadi WAN. Okay. Untuk yang second point, which is a WAN. Okay. Contoh, a WAN can be one large network can consist of multiple LANs connected together. Okay. So banyak-banyak LAN dia jadi WAN. Okay, selain daripada itu sama juga dengan LAN, kita boleh explain based on connectivity and ownership. But remember, our first point, kita mesti mention about area of coverage. Limited geographical area for LAN and large geographical area for WAN. Okay. Ini saya tak nak pergi detail. Yang penting kita tahu bahawa WAN adalah wide area network. Contoh daripada production site. Okay, bersama connect to dia punya headquarters, maybe different country. And also connect through to the internet. Okay, ini contoh-contoh dia lah. Advantage, disadvantage. Okay, increase efficiency for communicate and lower cost. Disadvantage, dia security problem, training cost, maintenance problems. Okay, yang ni you hafal lah. Okay, yang ni yang penting. Difference. Kenapa saya begitu? Okay, nak habis dah ni. Sikit lagi. Okay, difference. So, kalau soalan tu dia akan tanya 2 saja soalan. Dia akan tanya 2 saja biasanya. Yang pertama adalah explain. Yang kedua differentiate. Ataupun maybe dia bagi soalan situation. Okay, situation. And kita identify adakah that situation is local area network ataupun wide area network. Okay, so kalau soalan tu minta explain, kita nak jawab mesti explain based on area of coverage. So inilah dia punya answer for explanation. Jika soalan tu minta differentiate pun sama juga. The first point adalah about area of coverage. Same answer for explain and also for the difference. Okay. And make sure dalam you punya jawapan pastikan ada word limited geographical area and large geographical area. Then second point, kalau soalan tu minta more than 1 point, kalau biasanya dia bagi 2 marks means 1 point for LAN, 1 point for WAN. Kalau dia bagi 4 marks mean another point. So you can mention about connectivity or ownership. But make sure first point you mesti mention about area of coverage. Okay, habis dah rasanya. Okay, dah habis dah. Yay. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan? Okay tak? Clear tak? Habis dah. Okay, so kalau dah clear, kita ada lagi around half an hour, tak sampai dah, around 20 more minutes. So, Madam minta you all untuk buat apa tu? tutorial. Okay, buat tutorial 2.2 and 2.3. Then kita akan discuss petang nanti. Okay, ada lagi half an hour. Madam nak bagi soalan quiz kan tadi Madam cakap. Madam akan bagi quiz, buat quiz tu, and then kalau dah siap boleh proceed dengan tutorial 2.2 and 2.3. Kita akan bincang petang nanti untuk soalan quiz yang saya akan bagi sekejap nanti di grup Telegram, dan kita akan bincang juga tutorial. Okay, kalau ada soalan boleh tanya dulu sebelum kita akhiri sesi meet kita pagi ini. Saya nak tengok Intan punya tadi. Kalau tak ada kita stop dekat sini dulu. Okay, kalau ada apa-apa masalah boleh tanya terus dekat dalam grup Telegram. Mana Intan tadi? Tak ada dah. Ada. Okay, kita tengok kalau ada yang nak bertanya. Okay, so dah tak ada. Jadi kita stop sini dulu Okay, thank you semua. Terima kasih siapa yang share drawing tadi. So kita stop sini. Jumpa lagi petang nanti insya-Allah. Okay, nanti saya akan inform lah. Kita akan discuss soalan yang mana Ya, ada nak tanya? Okay, silakan.
Petang start tu apa?
Petang nanti maybe saya akan start dalam 2:30 untuk meet. So around 2 to 2:30 you all boleh siapkan dulu tutorial. Okay, nanti saya akan update detail dekat dalam group lah. Okay. Okay. Okay, sampai sini dulu. Bye semua. Assalamualaikum. Sama.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam.